So I think what I wanted to do first, so I wanted to show that we are going to be, you guys can make whatever you want, but I wanted to just show, I want to get you guys acquainted with, the general brushes to use when using ZBrush, as well as like when you make a character, the quick like method of the quickest way to make a character. So we're going to start with Zspheres and work from there. So I was thinking of us making a little like human fall flat looking character like this, and then if you guys want to go crazy when I start showing you the Z-Spheres stuff, you can just do that. Again, definitely don't be afraid to talk. We're just chilling. Don't be afraid to unmute yourselves. It don't matter. So we can get started. So, and just let me know if you guys have no idea what's going on or need help with something or whatever. So, I don't know how many of you guys have used ZBrush before, but the first menu you'll see is this. They call it a light box. I don't know why, but you can close it and open it by pressing the comma button. So I will have a panel up here with other hotkeys, so in case you guys like are wondering what to press, then hopefully you'll see it. But for right now, comma, open up the light box. So we're gonna go, and these are like all these different presets or things that you can start with and just kind of mess with after. But usually I'll either click on Dynasphere with the resolution 128, and that's when I want to start sculpting like a head, for example. I'll usually start with that instead of me doing some things like the long way, and it'll just take longer. This is the fastest way to start sculpting right away. Or what you want to do, so ZBrush does not scroll. It's really stupid. I think this was intended to be used with the tablet. So you would you're supposed to click on this area above this thin line, and you just drag over to the left to scroll. And it's going to be the same thing when you're scrolling up and down on these menus. You have to just click and drag because scroll does nothing. But we're going to come over here to Z-Sphere and just double click that to open up a Z-Sphere.
Wow, where was your sphere again?
Z-Sphere is going to be on the right side. So if you click the bottom of this page and then you just drag over to the left, it'll scroll to the right, and then Z-Sphere.
Oh, there. Okay.
Should be there. You might have an older version, Jordan. So like when I start getting into cloth stuff, I don't know if you won't have that, but okay. That's fine. So everyone got Z-Spheres?
Yes.
Looking good? Okay. So what Z-Spheres is, you can't sculpt on this. It's basically like you're planning, you're drawing out the skeleton. It's a very quick and easy way to make the body or form of a whatever you're making. So you'll see later why I decided to start with Z-Spheres. But so you'll start with symmetry mode. Actually, this is the best time to pull up my texture thing. But I'll let you guys, I'll do this first. In the beginning, you'll see you're in symmetry mode, and you can turn that off with X, but I think right now let's just keep it on. And when you click and drag, it will draw a ball or a sphere in an area, and you can just drag and scale it. Now, after you've created this, you have 3 buttons up here. Move, scale, rotate, just like any other 3D program, except those hotkeys are W, E, and R. Again, I'll have the key up so you'll see it. But after you create a ball, basically, you can just press W to translate, and then you can just move it around. You can scale it to whatever. And if you want to go back to drawing another sphere, you just press Q, and you can draw another ball. And very quickly just like make a freaking creature thing, whatever.
Is that like a bone tool?
It's kind of like a bone tool, except it's not actually rigging the character. It's really just it'll let you mess with the proportions very quickly. So then you can turn it into a mesh that you can sculpt on. So I guess we can do that real quick. You guys get acquainted while I pull up this hotkey list. And let me know if I went too fast. Let me know if I'm going too fast. Don't be afraid. I am just a dumb boy trying to share his knowledge that I got from the other dumb boy in this session.
Switch back to the brush.
So going back to the brush will be Q.
How did you get to the circle, the sphere thing? I should have asked earlier, but I missed it.
Okay. So do you have... That was Rhea, right? Rhea?
Yeah.
So do you... come on, close. Why is
I
this
have
not
Zbrush.
closing? Is Zbrush open?
Yeah.
All right. Oh, shoot. Hold on. This window is still open. All right. Do you have this open right now?
I actually accidentally clicked something, a different thing. How do I get out of what I've done?
You can just start over. If you press comma, it should open up this panel. And let me know when you see this panel.
Oh, I see it, yeah.
Yeah. So now you want to hover your mouse to the bottom area here, click, and drag to the left. You might have to go a tad higher. If you go too low, it's going to start scaling it. I think you have to get kind of close to the words.
So like polysphere, is that it?
We're
Zsphere?
gonna, yeah, drag over and click on Zsphere. That will bring you up to where we are.
Thank you.
Yep. Q will let you make the balls or spheres, and then W, E, and R will be like the move, scale, rotate things that you can manipulate after. So
E does what? Oh, E is scale.
E is scale. Yeah. I don't know why. I hate how like that changes with every program.
Scale.
But
How do you move in the workspace again? Like pan your camera?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up that hotkey thing real quick. So some programs will be primarily like Alt, and then you press like other buttons to do different orbit or pan or zoom. For ZBrush, it's all right click, and then so right clicking only will orbit. Right click and shift, I believe, or right click and Alt, sorry, pans, and then right click and control zooms. I'm gonna definitely pull this up any second if my brain functions and I can pull this up. Okay. If you guys can read it, you can just refer back to my stream so you can see these different hotkeys. So that's what I was talking about before with it's all right click. So if you hold right click and press the other buttons, then that's how you can pan, zoom, all that stuff. So I'm gonna make my little character real quick. I'm gonna do something similar.
Rotate again? I'm sorry.
Rotate is just right click.
No, not the workspace. Rotate the like painted ball.
R.
R. Okay.
Yeah.
And did you say S did something?
No, but I will get to there later because S does do something. It changes the brush size. So once you guys, if everyone is good with Zspheres so far, you press Q to go back to the draw button. That's when you can make new balls, and then you can just move them into place and play with proportions. There's other like mini things that we convenient like, with moving joints around and arms and stuff, but we don't really need to go into that right now. I just want to get you guys get you guys the gist of it. So I'm gonna make my dude some legs really quick, just because. And also make sure you guys pay attention to the I forget what this thing is called. But make sure the axes, and making sure your guys facing the right way. Make sure your guys facing out towards the positive Z axis. So my dude's actually facing the wrong way. So I'm just gonna like literally move the bones into place, just so he like looks like he's facing the other direction. And you can add bones or Z-spheres in between if you just go back to your draw by pressing Q and just clicking in the middle of the bone, and it will spawn another one. But it's fine. You don't really gotta go too crazy with it. So I'm gonna go with this little tubby dude, just because. We're all good so far? So after you guys are happy with what your Z-sphere character dude looks like, whether he's bipedal, whether he's a bug. Nick, I bet you're making a bug or something. Or you're just chilling.
Oh, I'm just watching.
Chilling.
I'm not
That's
making
fine.
anything right now.
So we're gonna go to this panel on this right side of the screen. This is gonna be probably where you click. You're gonna click on this side of the screen a lot. You're not really gonna pay much attention to what's on this side too much, because all your functions are mostly on the right side. So we want to make this into an actual mesh that we can sculpt on, right? We do that by going to the adaptive skin tab. I don't know if you can see my red cursor at all, but it's going to be a menu that you click and it'll drop down. Now these settings do a lot of different things. We don't really got to mess with them right now. If you guys come back to this program and want to mess with it, then you can see what it does. Basically just will give your model more resolution so that you can sculpt on it, but you could also do it later. What we want to do... Yep.
I was going to say, would you recommend duplicating that model and then turning it into an adaptive skin?
No, because when you make the adaptive skin, it's going to already make a separate tool.
Oh, so you can always pop that back up.
Yeah, this Z-sphere thing will always stay here.
Oh, you can refer back to it later?
Yes, you can refer back to it later. You'll see.
Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, so if you go up here where it says like simple brush, and I think there'll be like a cylinder or something, you'll see Z-sphere. This will always be here. You can click it later. When we make the adaptive skin, it's going to make another object here. These are what's called tools. I guess just other objects, really. I don't know why they call them tools in Zbrush, but it'll make another tool, then that you sculpt on that tool, and then you can refer back to this Z-sphere quote-unquote tool. But
I don't see it, though. Is it because I saved over it? Probably could be.
I don't think you can save over it, though, unless, it might...
Because I only see the one with adaptive skin. I don't see the original.
The names might be... They should be there, unless your name is slightly different. But either way, real quick, I just wanted to show. Under the Adaptive Skin tab, you can click Preview, and you'll see like what your dude will look like when it becomes a mesh. And so like if you're happy with it, you can either just click Make Adaptive Skin, or you can turn off Preview and tweak it a little bit more. So I'm probably going to give him a little bit, some elbows really quick. And then a preview again. He has a little bend in his arm. I think it looks fine. So then I'll just like make an adaptive skin. And then, okay, so yeah, you'll see like Z-sphere is here, but then you also have skin Z-sphere. So if you turn off the preview, it should, in the picture, revert back to Z-sphere, but then you still have the skin underscore Z-sphere.
Okay. Yeah, yesterday I was also playing around. If you hit A, you can just automatically turn it into an adaptive
Yeah,
skin.
A is the hotkey for previewing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you now have this that you can refer back to later, or you can just go straight into just sculpting. So are we good, guys? Or did everyone make their adaptive skin?
That thing up there in the corner, the little head.
That they added this in the ZBrush 2021 version. I think it's literally just to help people make sure that they're facing the right way or they're sculpting in the right direction. Yeah, if you have an older version, then none of this stuff, this little silhouette window, these icons, they're not going to be there. It's not really, it's not really going to change anything. So,
so adaptive skin is essentially like it turns the Z-sphere whatever thing into like you can sculpt on it.
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah. Yep. I missed it because I was adding limbs.
Yep. No, you're good.
To concentrate. What's unified skin?
I have no idea. But like there's so many. That's the thing. Like with ZBrush, there's so much stuff that I haven't even tapped into yet. But for like what I do, I don't really mess with it. I don't even think unified skin is. I don't even know if it's Z-sphere related, but because it might actually does, but I have no idea what it does.
Dynamesh resolution.
So
what is this? Does it just add more like?
Yeah, I'll explain what Dynamesh is because I do want to go over Dynamesh. So there's only a few brushes that you really use. We'll start by pressing. If you press the B button, so I do have the B button listed on here. You press B, it will pull up all of the brushes that are in ZBrush that you can just play with. You can also get to this menu by clicking up here on the left where you see like the circle with whatever brush you're using. But B is a lot faster because eventually there'll be hotkeys and then there's fast ways to just press certain brushes. So we'll start with all of these. Yeah, they can be useful. I haven't used all of them at all, but there's only about a handful that you really need. We'll start with probably the clay build-up brush. So You can either look for the clay buildup brush here, it's just called clay buildup, or the hotkeys for it, you'll press BCB because B is the brush menu, C is clay, and then B is buildup. And then that way you can just very quickly choose the clay buildup brush.
How do I delete a Z-sphere? How do I?
You can delete it by pressing and holding. Okay, so are we still on Zspheres actually? I don't want to keep going into the brushes and lose you guys.
I've been stuck trying to fix the Z-sphere, so I just want to delete it and make a new one.
Yeah, okay. So you delete a Z-sphere, make sure you're in the, I don't think it actually matters if you're in the draw mode or not. You just hold Alt and then just click it and it should remove it.
Oh, removed his lens.
Yeah. You got it, James?
Seems to just be selecting the next Z-sphere.
Are you holding Alt and clicking it?
Yeah. So I'm trying to delete a Z-sphere that's very, very, very tiny. I'm not sure if... Oh, there we go. Fixed.
You got it? Okay. And are you good with the adaptive skin and all that stuff? You see adaptive skin will be on the right side of the screen.
Point to it? Oh, I see. Yeah, okay. I'll get to that in a sec. I'm just going to finish the feet.
June, you got your mesh now?
I have like the skin underscore Z sphere 1.
Yeah.
So what do I do with that? I just
you click it.
on that, or?
Yep.
And then.
So imagine these being like other
Load
tabs. Yeah.
Like load tool.
No. You don't got to click load tool or anything. You just click it and it'll show up. You can now sculpt on this. It might look the same from Zspheres because you didn't turn off the preview.
Oh, I see.
On the Zsphere one.
How do you go back to your sculpt?
They both should be up here in the tool, like the icons. So you just click on them.
How do I delete tools? I have like 5 others.
I believe. I actually don't even know, to be honest, how to delete them.
It's
one of those many things.
It'll be like Among Us, you know.
Yeah, unless you go to the subtool menu and you delete it from there, because there is a delete button here. But I haven't tried it, to be honest. Going back to the clay built-up brush. So again, you can either click on this menu here and find clay buildup, or the hotkey for it is B to open up the brush menu, and then you're going to press C because it's a clay tool and it's called clay buildup, and then you'll see there's a B here, and that you just press B and then boom, you have the tool. So very quickly you can just press BCB and then boom, I have clay buildup and I can just draw on my character. Now I'm already having a weird issue where I can't even draw on my character for some reason. But I hope you guys can. Can you guys actually draw your characters?
I don't see a clay brush.
Alright, apparently I can't draw when this thing is open unless I can change this.
Oh, I know exactly what your problem is. So go to, this is literally a problem I was just having the other day. So go to brush in the top left. No, top, like on the little, like, see where it's like alpha, brush, color, all that bullshit.
Yep.
Go to samples.
Samples.
Lower, right, up. Right there. Turn off spotlight projection. Because what it's doing is it's literally projecting your brush strokes from the spotlight.
Yeah,
so if you drew over the spotlight, it would like do like a stencil style thing. It's so dumb, and you have to change that every time you turn ZBrush back on. I hate it.
Yeah, it's dumb.
But yeah, whatever.
Alright, well thanks, Nick.
You're welcome.
Clay buildup brush. Are we all there, would you say?
It's not on my brush menu.
The brush menu, either press B,
Yeah.
or you can click on the button on the top left here. And
I don't have as many options as you do. It's just like
yeah, because I don't know if you have the most recent version of Zbrush.
I
but-
downloaded the crack like 5.
That's fine. But we want to go for the clay build-up tool or brush, which that should be there. Because it's a relatively old brush. So if you press BCB,
I see. Yep.
you get the clay
Found it.
build-up.
Yep.
Okay. So what this brush basically does, like, you know, you'll usually get the standard brush. You'll start out with the standard brush where it will just be a normal brush and you can just try and draw and whatever. But the problem is, if you want to like make this smooth, you know, you could hold shift to smooth it and try and do stuff, but you can't really fill it in without it looking like it's bulging out, or you might not be able to get rid of that crease. So clay buildup is really good at, I don't know if it's like the algorithm or whatever they use to like make the brush, but it's really good at filling in little creases and just smoothing out your mesh without really making it look like a balloon. And you can see that it's like a square, or it's a very harsh brush that you would have to smooth out after. You can change this, because if you see on the left, you'll see like brush alpha, or you see like a white square. And these are like your brush types in Photoshop, and you can change it to whatever brushes you have, or whatever brushes you want to change it to. I usually just go straight up alpha off, or I go to alpha 1 where it's like a soft hardness kind of brush, just because I don't like to deal with the squares. But you'll find you'll use that when you're usually roughing out a model very quickly. You don't typically use it later. And then the other brush that I started using recently, because I saw Nick was using it and I saw like it actually makes a lot of sense, is the inflate brush. And the inflate brush, you can either just hunt for it, or the hotkey for inflate is BIN. So B brush menu, I for inflate, and then it says N for inflat. I don't know why they call it inflat, but it's inflate. It's just another tool to help with building, with build up on your models, to like get forms without heavily distorting your model. So, and then very quickly we have the move brush. The move brush is probably like one of the most important brushes you're going to be using, or the most common ones you'll be using. It's just literally moving the mesh around. And the hotkey for that is, you're going to pull up the brush menu. So B, and M for move, and then V. So you get the move brush, and then in other programs you can just move the mesh around and just do whatever you got to do. If you want to adjust like the proportions, like if I want to give my dude like a little chin or something, then I can just move it.
Don't forget to tell them about smoothing and stuff.
Yeah, so I mentioned it very quickly, but yeah, smoothing, you hold shift and your brush will turn blue, and you can basically smooth out your mesh. And going into that, so I have it listed on my like hotkey menu, but you can change your brush size by either, you know, going up to the top bars where you see draw size and intensity of your brush and things like that. Or very quick ways, you can either press space, we have to press and hold space to see these menus. But typically I will just adjust my draw size the most often, but I will like accidentally change focal shift and things like that. Focal shift is like the hardness of your brush. So I'll just press S. S is what it will just only show your draw size, so you can quickly do that. And that will actually go right into dynameshing. So are we good so far, guys? Actually,
Yes.
I just dumped like 4 brushes on you and just showed you the menus. But basically, clay buildup, move, inflate, and I did mention standard, but standard's like your usual brush.
What if I added too much and I want to reduce it?
So you can either smooth it out with Shift, or in my hotkey menu I have for Alt, it says opposite. So most of your brushes you'll see that it'll pull out or kind of add clay to your mesh. But if you want to reduce it, or if you want to kind of push it in, if you press and hold Alt, it'll do the opposite of that, and it will just go inwards. And this is like a very quick way of how to like make eye sockets for like if you're gonna make an eye on your character
Smooth
or something.
again?
Smoothing
Oh,
is
shit.
Shift. Yeah. So to go inwards. Sorry. Oh, I thought I heard something.
It's a ghost.
Yeah. Ugh.
I think that was my brother, but I was gonna say, guys, don't press A again if you like made something on your model, because I just lost all my work. 'Cause I hit A.
Hey, I don't even know what that.
Yeah, because it'll go back to the Z-sphere model, and then you can't go back unless you hit the quick save.
Even if you go up to your tool menu.
Yeah, I don't know why I can't access mine for some reason.
Okay. So,
And now I can't open Zbrush, which is great. So let's see what that.
all right. So we'll go into Dynamesh now. So I guess if you really want to follow along, I do have it listed on here too. A poly view at the bottom here is Shift F. It's going to show your wireframe basically for your mesh. And the different colors, they're called polygroups. I'm not going to go into what polygroups are right now because that's a little more detailed. But it basically lets you focus on certain parts of the body, and you can like make your own polygroups by selecting it and all that stuff. But what polyview is with Shift F, you can see your wireframe, and you'll see that when you, for example, if you want to give your character horns, you're going to think, okay, I want to grab the move brush and I'm going to just move it out and give him horns. But then you'll see that over time, your mesh is going to start heavily distorting. And at some point, you're like, what the hell? Like, what do I do? How do people like do this when you watch videos of ZBrush? So that's where Dynamesh comes in. So if you go over to the right side of your menu, which will probably look like this, you're going to go to your Geometry tab. And in the Geometry tab, you'll see things like the Subdivide button and Dynamic Subdivision, which is like a smooth preview in other programs. But you'll also see Dynamesh. So when we made our adaptive skins, orange means it's on. And when we made our adaptive skins, it already made our meshes into a Dynamesh. So we don't have to turn this, we don't have to click it. But what Dynamesh lets you do is that you can easily remesh it really quickly, so then you can just keep sculpting. And you do that by pressing and holding your control button. So I'll go into masking after this since I just brought up control. But if you press and hold control, and then you click on the outside of your mesh, don't click on your mesh, click on the background, and you click and drag a box. I don't know why this is the method that they do to remesh it, but this is what you do. And then when you let go and you look at the horns, it just remeshes it. And now you have topology going up that you can just smooth it out and then either inflate it to give it thickness or whatever. So theoretically, you can just keep sculpting and...
You pick control and hold?
Yeah, control, left click, and drag a box. And it'll just remesh it.
It's
So-
like, it looks like it's changing its font, but it doesn't look like it's remeshing. I mean,
If you press Shift F, can you see the topology?
yeah.
Yeah. So if you like pull something out and you start like really distorting it, and then you press, and then when you remesh it, or when you do the control drag a box, you'll see that it does remesh it. So like, you know, if you were starting with a sphere, you could be like, oh, I want to give him legs, and you could do that with Dynamesh, but then it becomes a pain in the neck because then you gotta like really shape it and get the proportions right, and it's just Zspheres is just naturally a lot faster. And I used to do Dynamesh when I would make fingers for hands, and it took way too long for me to shape the fingers. So Zspheres really helps with that. That's why I wanted to show it to you guys first. But Dynamesh is really, really easy with getting forms very quickly, and you don't need to worry so much about topology or definition or anything like that. Just think about getting the basic form first with Dynamesh, and then later if you want to add detail later by subdividing. So what we can go into now actually is the next thing I wanted to show. Let me see what I wanted to show you guys. I wanted to talk about the move, inflate, clay buildup. I talked about briefly dam standard, but I want to talk about dam standard, and then maybe I'll show also like the insert button. And then for those who have 2021, I hope, you know, almost everyone here has 2021. I can show you guys cloth stuff real quick. So we'll go into, let's talk about masking really quick. So masking in Zbrush is also exactly like, not exactly, I mean, it's kind of like Photoshop. So you're gonna mask by holding Control, and then you can just draw on your mesh, and it'll like look like you're painting a gray paint onto your mesh. But what this basically is doing is it's isolating your mesh. And you can change, when you hold Control, you can go up to the brush icon while still holding Control, and you can change your mask type. You can change it to like a lasso, you can change it into spheres or rectangles.
What button?
Yeah, the button up here. While still holding Control. You have to still hold Control for it though. I prefer lasso just because it's the easiest. Brushing can be a pain in the ass. But for example, if I want, and we're going to be using the lasso or masking to actually make the shirt. So if you want to like put clothes on your character, it's very fast. So you would like hold Control, and then you would just drag a selection, and then you'll notice that when you go back to your other brushes, it won't affect what you have masked. And you can flip this selection by holding Control and then just tapping the outside, and it will flip between your two selections, like inversing your selection. So we're good so far? Did I lose anyone yet? How's it going with you, James and June, and anyone else who might be doing stuff? You good?
Yeah, it should be fine.
I'm just
Sure.
messing around.
Yeah.
I got sidetracked.
Like layer masks.
You can add on to masks.
But
just
it's all in one file or all in one layer.
Yeah, right. Your masks are only. It's only like what you.
One time.
I don't know what you mean actually by like layering masks actually.
Like in Photoshop, I keep masks like as a separate layer or as a separate thing if I need to reuse it, and I don't want to, like, I'll be using 5 different masks at once, but I need to refer back to one later.
From what I know, I don't believe ZBrush you can't do that. It's mainly just to work on like what you're currently working on at the moment. I mean, you can keep what are called subtools and stuff like that, and I'll go into that later, but basically this is just meant to help you isolate different parts of your mesh when you're working on it. And you can deselect your mask by just pressing hold Control and just dragging on the outside. Doing it once will get rid of the mask. Doing it again, if you have Dynamesh turned on, it'll Dynamesh it. makes sense. So I'll show you guys the insert button next after this. And then we'll go into like adding more definition or resolution to the model so it looks smoother, and then you can add smaller details, and then we'll tackle cloth real quick if for everyone who's got 2021. So if you want to insert, for example, I gave my character eye sockets and I want to give him eyeballs. You're not going to just inflate his socket and give him eyeballs. It's not really going to work. You want to add like a separate mesh into it. And you do that by going to your subtool menu, and it's the very first tab that you find. This whole like area is your tool menu. The one right after is your subtool menu. So it'll open up a long panel that has just like empty slots in it. These are basically your layers in Photoshop, is your subtool menu. And you can duplicate them by, again, Control D or things like that, or Control paste and all that. Copy and paste don't freaking work in Zbrush. I don't know why. But there are buttons for duplicate and deleting and copying and renaming and all that stuff, and you do have to do it from the menu. As far as I know, there's no like fast way to do those things. And you'll move your layers up and down with these other buttons. So we want to, for me, and this can depend on what you guys are doing, I'm going to give my guy eyeballs. So I'm going to go to the insert button that is still in the subtool menu. And append or insert, I believe append will add a new mesh to your existing subtool layer, but insert will make it a whole new layer. I would prefer to just keep it on a separate layer or a separate subtool, just to make things easier. I don't want to.
So which one's which again?
Append will add a new mesh to your existing subtool or your existing layer, and insert will make a new layer and put the new object in that new layer. So I'm going to go to insert, and I want to do sphere because I want my guy to have eyeballs, and it's going to spawn like this huge ass sphere that just covers his head. Now it looks like he's got little beady eyes in the front and like a bill. But so you can manipulate this after the fact. If you press, going back to the move, scale, rotate, I want to scale this, for example, and I can just scale it, use this gimbal to like move it around, and you'll notice we only have one. I don't know if you guys are doing the same thing as me as giving him eyeballs, but I want to have 2 eyeballs. Now, I don't want to, you could make another one and move it into place, but then you'd run into the issue of it not being truly symmetrical. I feel bad that I'm dumping too much stuff on you guys, but I do want to very quickly talk about how to make a separate ball that is symmetrical. So, but again, I'll be recording this. We're recording this so you guys can look back at it later. Under the geometry tab, we're going to make a second sphere on this layer. Under the geometry tab, there's what's called a modify topology tab. And when you click that, you have all these different buttons, and you don't got to worry too much about it. But there's a button called mirror and weld. So, and you don't have to worry too much about the axes. You can change the axes actually depending on what you're doing to Y, Z, or whatever. But by default, it's on X, and we want to keep it on X. So if I click it, it'll give me another eye that's symmetrical. And by me having symmetry mode on by pressing X, and you can see when like another red dot shows up on the other ball. If I have symmetry mode on, and by pressing X and I move this object, it will move together in symmetry mode. Now just be careful not to move your object too close to each other, because once they start to interlap and then you pull apart again, they're just gonna, oh my god, I can't even select it right now. But Okay, it didn't do it, but okay, it only depends if it's like one object. If you do one object and you have symmetry mode on, the problem is that if you go too close and then you pull it apart again, it's gonna actually like break your mesh and just stretch it apart. But it doesn't do it with this. So I'm gonna like move him into his eyeballs into place really quick. But that's how you would very quickly make a separate mesh to add on to it.
What's the key to select the ball?
You go to your subtool menu and click on the new layer that was created if you use the insert button and not append. And then when you click it, it will darken it, the other subtool slightly, and this will be white. And then you can press.
I don't see the axis.
Yeah, so if you press W, E, or R, if you press like the move, scale, or rotate, then it'll pop up.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So right now you're probably still in the draw menu, or the draw mode. And I can go back to the draw mode by just pressing Q. And I can go back to my body mesh by clicking on him in the subtool menu, and then I can just manipulate
make it symmetrical.
X. And do
but do I have to redraw it
to make another ball?
Yeah.
So to make another ball, you have to go to. You have your ball selected, right?
Yeah.
If you go to your geometry tab and click it, there'll be a modify topology tab.
Topology.
And make sure you move. Bless you.
Thank you.
Make sure you move your sphere off to the side, because we're gonna mirror it. So in the modify topology tab, there's a mirror and weld button, and when you click it, it should make another one.
Don't see. Oh, mirror and weld. There we go.
Yep. And
the resulting 3D mesh does not contain any polygons. Operation can't.
which mesh do you have selected? Is it still the ball?
The ball.
I would have to see your screen. You did move it off to the side, right?
Yeah.
With the move, and you tried to mirror and weld, and it said it didn't like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're there. Oh my god. Okay, so you have it off to the side. Oh my god, that's a thick boy. Okay.
Jordan, that's gorgeous.
So you went to you click on mirror and weld, and what happens? Oh, turn off mirror and weld right there. Yep.
Turn off what?
Click on the mirror and weld button.
See this.
Okay, so maybe it might be because you currently have symmetry mode on. You see, like there's an orange dot that's off to the left.
Okay.
So if you turn it off and do it,
No,
still doesn't do it. What the heck? Okay. Nick, do you know anything about something like this? That's kind of weird.
What's up? I was only partially paying attention.
Yeah, he's trying to mirror his eyeball, and it's not mirroring, even though he has a ball off to the side. It says there's no geometry.
Okay, so wait, go to your subtool menu. Let me take a look. Personally, the way that I do it is I do it in a weird way. So duplicate this object, right? Duplicate your sphere.
Control copy.
No, it's right there.
Yeah, click there.
Duplicate,
Yeah.
And then go to deformation down in the tab below. So use scroll or drag, whatever the fuck. Should be deformation. Should be down there, right there. Yep. And then just hit mirror.
That's another way. There's a mirror button.
Right there.
That's another way of doing it.
And then just merge the subtools, because it's not going to be. They're two separate subtools right now. So go to subtools, click on the one right above, and then hit merge down, which should be.
Hit and then go. There's a merge tab. There's a merge tab.
Right there.
Click merge down. Press
hit OK. And now hit X.
Now turn on
axis.
symmetry mode, and now you should be able to move them.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good workaround.
It's my weird little stupid way of doing it, but it works. So fuck it.
Of course, Nick has another way of doing it.
Wait,
yeah.
you hit X to do what?
To enable symmetry. That's the short.
Okay, so I never hit. I do the same thing, but I never hit X.
Yeah, that's interesting. I usually don't do that. But okay, so that's how you could quickly add meshes to your sculpt whether you're making eyes, whether you're giving him, whether you want to make a bracelet or something for like their arm or whatever. Like that's how you would do it. You would use insert, and you can move it in with the move, scale, rotate. So we will tackle resolution, and then we'll go into like quickly making like giving him a t-shirt or whoever for whatever. Because right now we can see our polygons. We don't typically want that. So if you go to your geometry tab, there's a divide button. One sec, I'm seeing. Okay. In the divide button, you can press divide. It'll subdivide your model. You can see on the up here, there's like active points or total points of how many polygons your mesh has. Just be careful not to go too high because then your computer will start lagging. But that's really, you don't really got to worry too much with that. And you can go back and forth between subdivision levels after you've made them. And this will let you add more detail. You can use the damn standard brush and sculpt minor details, which, speaking of which, damn standard is how you're going to get very fine details on your model if you want to give him like little eye creases, or if you're like, I've used it to sculpt fingernails before. You use the damn standard brush. So you use the damn standard brush by pressing B and then D for damn standard, and then S for damn standard. And then again, you can just make a very small crease. You can make creases to your mesh or whatever. And a crease like this is really large, but that's when you would change your brush size to get like a smaller crease.
What was the shortcut again?
BDS. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can change your brush size to make the crease smaller. I usually like my intensity to be lower too. I like to lower my intensity to like 10 or something, and then just kind of brush over it several times to kind of get the crease. Because, for example, like with his eyes, like if I want to give him eyelids, I can either inflate to really give that eyelid look, and then afterwards I can use the damn standard brush. See, it's already stretching, so I'll just dynamesh it real quick, and then when I dynamesh it, I'll just subdivide it again. I'll subdivide mine twice. I'll go back with damn standard, and then I can just add little creases on his eyeball, and I can smooth it out and be very subtle with it. If I want to pull this out, I'll just hold Alt. You can press Alt on the damn standard brush to also just kind of pull out your creases if you want to make a more cartoony looking character.
Is that coming at an angle that you can change, like a setting?
For what part? What do you mean?
Like it creases, but is it based on like intensity or pressure?
It's both. Okay. You can lower your intensity. I like my intensity to be around 10. I think by default it's set to 33. It would be your Z intensity. And then, yeah, I am lighter on the brush to make sure I'm not overdoing it.
You're using a mouse right now, or?
I'm currently using my pen.
Okay.
But I could also, yeah, I would just go with my mouse. I would just go with the lower intensity, and then just brush it with my pen. My mouse. But yeah, and then that's how you could get smaller details and whatnot with your little dudes. With the subdividing, and then using damn standard. And again, you can go back and forth with your subdivision levels to see how it is. So I think those all those three different all those brushes. So what did we go over? We went over the
Everything.
basic. We went over a lot. I apologize, but those are basically the
Apologize
main.
is really helpful.
Those are
Yeah.
the main brushes you're going to use, right? You're going to mainly use Dynamesh, Move, Inflate, Clay Build-Up, Damn Standard, Standard. You might use other ones. You know, you don't have to just limit. These are the ones I like using. You have your subdivisions. You have Dynamic Subdivision, whatever. I'll go into Dynamic Subdivision when we start talking about cloth. But cloth is very simple. And cloth has their own like little cloth brushes, and which is like they're really badass. Honestly, I freaking love it. Because sculpting clothes back then were freaking hard as hell, and I was thinking about getting Marvelous Designer and all that stuff, and now it's like I'm kind of less. You know, I don't want to as much, but you know I might still because of my sister, because she does costume design, so she needs Marvelous Designer. But if we are all good here. You know, you guys can continue to work on these characters after the fact and whatnot, and you know, my dude kind of looks adorable, so I might actually continue him too for a little bit. But
It's like a
Alright, mine is
Shibu
Pete
demon.
too.
yeah, I don't know. But let's talk about clothes really quickly. So Jordan, you might not be able to. You're probably not gonna be able to do this because you don't have 2021.
Fuck.
You get it, man. It's in the announcements. It's in the announcements.
Huh?
It's in the pinned messages and announcements for Zbrush 2021. But for anyone who does have it, I can run through it with you really quickly. It's not hard at all. It's so simple. So I'm gonna give my dude a little t-shirt. So you're gonna start out. So what we want to do is that we want to mask the shirt onto his body. By masking the shirt, we want to make a new mesh from that mask, which is called extracting, and then we can turn it into a t-shirt. Because ZBrush now has like its own little simulations thing that you can simulate the cloth like draping over it. So what I'm gonna do is I like my lasso tool. So I'm just gonna, you know, with symmetry mode on, I'm just gonna lasso by holding control. I have the mask brush turned on. I'm just gonna lasso some sleeves onto him. I'm gonna lasso his little, bottom part of his shirt. I'm gonna lasso the neck part of his shirt, and then I'm just gonna fill everything in real quick. You just add and stack on the masks on each other. And you can also go back and change your mask tool to like a brush if you want to go in. I think it's a pen. If you want to go in and make some tweaks. And if you realize your mask brush looks very soft, the division between what is selected and what is not, you can change your focal shift. But you have to change your focal shift, which is above your draw size up here. You have to turn it on. You have to change it while press and holding control for your mask brush. Otherwise, you're going to change the focal shift of your main brush. A negative number is harder. Larger number is softer. But that can help you get like a more fine mask selection. It might not matter too much because ZBrush is smart enough to interpret what the heck it is you're trying to do, at least for something like this. So I'm not gonna do it for the sleeves, but just wanted to show you guys that real fast.
Did you tell them how to erase a mask?
Yeah, okay, I did not. So just like with before, with Alt being, instead of you're pulling a mesh or adding clay, you're removing clay. Masking is the same thing. If you press and hold Control and then you hold Alt, then that will start removing your mask. And then just holding Control will just keep adding on to the mask. And it'll work with lasso tool. It'll work with any of your other selection types. So I masked out a shirt. Are we good so far? Does everyone know how to use the masking tool real quick?
Was it to delete again, Control, and then Alt, you said?
Yeah. Control, then Alt. James, was it you? I just heard also.
I'm in the process of masking. So.
Yeah. Okay. I'll hold up real quick while you guys keep masking. I'm gonna add some more wrinkles to my guy's face.
So cute.
For some reason, he reminds me of like a human Charizard. I don't know why.
That's
was
what I
like-
was thinking. That's what I was.
Cubone.
Yeah, I was getting vibes of like
Cubone.
Cubone.
Yeah,
That's what I was
yeah.
thinking
I
of.
see it.
Y'all don't know your Pokemon bad.
I know my Pokemon. I just, they're the dinosaur-esque ones, so they all kind of look the same. Whatever.
Look at that, I gave him like a little nose that's like.
He's
bit
got a
low.
flat face.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
he's
he
got
does.
a lot of personality
Yeah,
though.
flat face.
You can easily elongate that face with a nice
Or he just looked like a pug.
move brush. There you go.
Yay.
Perfect.
Or that,
Beautiful.
yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah. That's how
Jesus Lord. Now he's starting
Now
to
it
look
looks
like
like that
Eldritch,
dog that-
Eldritch horror.
now,
Starting to
now
look
he's like
more like
Put some
something I'd make.
boots.
now he's
Gotcha.
surprised. Yeah, now he's surprised.
Yeah, he's shocked.
Oh man.
So shocked.
Shooketh.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do all that stuff. I'll jump back in a few seconds. Let you guys keep masking.
Power Rangers boots. Thick ass defeat.
So James, you're good now with masking?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, perfect. So with the mask, don't remove the mask, and we remove the mask again by clicking on control and dragging on the outside to get rid of the mask. We don't want to do that. What we're going to do is on the right hand side, we're going to go back to the subtool menu, because technically when you extract out of a mesh and make a new mesh, you're going to make another subtool, so that's why they put it in the subtool menu. At the bottom of it, there's a extract. So we're going to click that, and with the default settings, we want to remove the thickness from this mesh. We want to add the thickness later, because what Zbrush can do is that you can, before you could extract a mesh, and I'll click it to show you guys, it won't make one, it'll just preview it. Let's let this load. Okay, so I can't move to show you, otherwise it will disappear, but you'll see that there is already thickness on this mesh. We don't want that, because we want to add it later, because it'll just be more of a pain for the cloth to actually simulate. So when I move it, it'll disappear. To really make a new subtool from that, you'll have to press accept. But so we want to do is we want to click on the thickness number, and we want to just make it 0. We don't want to have any thickness. We can turn off T border, we can turn off double. From what I know, I've tried messing with these and I still have some issues understanding what it means. Thin border, I don't get why they call it thin border, because you can still, just tell it what thickness you want. And then from corners, cornering the quads to tries, I haven't used extract yet to really see that kind of difference yet, with it using more quads or more tries and quads or whatever. Double, it's always double-sided. I don't know why it always, I don't know what's the point of turning this on. I've messed with it both on and off, but basically, and with this surface smoothness, let's just leave it at 5. So we have the thickness to 0. We press extract first so it can calculate it, and then we'll press accept. After pressing accept, it will look very weird like this, but that's okay. That's what we want. If we press accept, it'll make a new subtool, but it'll put you into the new subtool with the mask still on it. So you want to get rid of the mask. So we'll do that again with pressing and holding control and then dragging a box out to deselect it. Now it's doing this because they're both the same thickness, so it's just, they're clipping each other. And we can see the new mask that we made if we go back to the subtool menu, and it's called extract. So what we want to do real quick is we want to inflate this so it's larger over the body. And we'll do that by going into, there's a deformation menu. And this deformation menu is like a very quick way of just manipulating your mesh without actually sculpting on it. But there is an inflate slider, and you can just slide to the right a little bit to just get a little bit of thickness, and that should be fine the way it is. Now, we don't have to worry so much. I'm not sure if we need to, I think this will be a test to see if we need to, if I want to introduce you guys to Z Remesh or not. I really don't, because I feel like I've dumped so much on you already. But this is already incredibly high poly, so we'll see how Zbrush will simulate this. But it shouldn't hopefully be too bad. And so with this t-shirt selected, you can already manipulate it. You can press the move brush and like scale it a little bit so it fits a little bit more like a normal t-shirt, or whatever object or clothing you gave your character. And once you already move it into how you want it, then we can go into the simulation thing, and hopefully this actually works.
Which setting did you change in deformation?
It's a separate deformation tab, like where subtool and geometry is. A little bit lower is deformation.
Right.
And then there's like all the way down with all these sliders, there's an inflate slider.
It only seems to be changing the edges of the mesh for me.
Yeah, because you probably still have your mask selected. So if you undo that and then remove your mask with control and dragging on the outside, you should remove the mesh on that subtool.
Okay, thanks. Okay.
So, assuming this works, I hope it does, because I don't want to backtrack and confuse you guys. Let's try and jump into the actual simulation stuff now. So, all of their simulation stuff is going to be in this new tab that they added on the very top called Dynamics. And there's all of these new different buttons and stuff. And you can take off the menu by clicking on that little button, and it just makes it easier to run your simulations. Otherwise, you're going to have to reopen this tab every single time you want to do something. So I usually click this button and then just kind of drag it out, and it'll just attach itself to the left like this, and here it is. I don't know why there's brush stuff down here, but now my dynamic stuff is over here on the left. We don't really need to change anything. I typically just change my resolution all the way up to, for mine, it goes up to 3200. It goes up to 3200, and then I just change my I don't really change anything else. I'll turn self collision on, but to 1. But you know, for something simple like a t-shirt, you're not really gonna see much. And we just want to very quickly get the shirt to just drape a little bit. There is a slider next to the resolution called inflate. What that is imagine like a collider or something with the mesh that the cloth is going to be draping on, and this slider will depend on how much space you want in between those two meshes. So 1 is typically very noticeable. You can see the cloth is not actually colliding with what you're draping it onto or simulating it onto. I like to go to a value of like 0.5 or maybe even 0.25, so it just really looks like it's connecting. But we'll start with 0.5, and I'll have to recalculate really quickly. And then before we simulate, we're going to give it some thickness. So giving it thickness, we go to we have to do what's called the dynamic subdivision, which was already right underneath the dividing stuff in the geometry tab. So if you just turn on dynamic subdivision, turning it on, you just press dynamic, and then there's a thickness tab that you can just slide, and it will generate very subtle thickness on your cloth that you don't have to worry about. You don't have to like extrude or do anything like that. But after that, then we're ready to just simulate it. And again, I really hope these amount of polygons don't freaking just destroy Zbrush. But you would run it, and oh damn, there we go. Mesh density is higher than the specified thing. God damn it. I don't want to have to show you guys the remesher because it's so much.
I got lost when we started trying to simulate sure.
I've been lost.
Yeah, because you don't even have the dynamic stuff, right? Yeah.
Honestly, it's hard to pay attention when the screen's so blurry.
Is it really? Oh.
Which screen are you looking at? Are you looking at his stream or his camera?
His stream.
There's two. It looks like the stream.
Yeah, the stream, at least for me, it looks like it's fine, but then like
Yeah,
his
clear for me.
camera is all fucked up. It could just be, discrepancies in like connection speeds and things like that.
Yeah. This will have to
individual
be,
variation.
I guess I just have to look at the recording later. Damn, that sucks. Let's see. I don't want to. Well, basically, it would just drape it down, and firmness slider at the top will just control like what kind of what fabric you're going for. So like the smaller the number, it's more like silk. The higher the number, it's more like denim or like a thick material. But I think what I really want to show you guys is like, yeah, the draping part is cool and whatnot, and you can do other stuff with masking and to drape only certain parts. But I really want to show you guys like the cloth brushes because really quick, just to like, you don't have to really remember these parts, but I thought it would be a cool thing to end off on. Like for example, the cloth nudge brush, you can just click it and it will like try and it will give you folds and whatnot. And I don't think it's working on this too much because of the whole not wanting to simulate because it's too dense. But
Wait, so
Damn.
if you run the simulation, then it's automatically like if you use those different brush tools for cloth, like it'll deform better, or no?
yeah, using the cloth brushes will actually move your mesh around like cloth.
Let me
So
try
I
this.
Can
can.
that only work on a dynamic mesh?
No, the cloth brushes should work on any kind of mesh. It doesn't matter what it is. So I'm just gonna remesh my thing real quick, and I can show you guys the cloth brushes. But I guess for anyone who wants to try and follow along, by listening to my voice because the video quality is complete ass.
No.
Didn't ask for ASMR.
Exactly.
So in the so we
I'm
can
a visual
try
learner.
anyone who wants to try this. I just want to see if we can remesh the shirt real quick, and then I can show you the cloth brushes. But in the geometry tab, there is a Z remesher tab. I won't go into specificity like what each of these do, but ideally, if you really want to lower, what it's doing is it's remeshing your existing mesh, and you can make it less and less and less polygons, so it becomes lower res and it's easier to run and do all that stuff. It's like a fast way of retopoing without actually manually retopoing. It can be good in a lot of ways, and it's not perfectly efficient, but it's pretty good. I usually just turn on half. I kind of just turn everything to 0, and I just click it a bunch of times until I see a result that I like, until it gets low enough. So it's going to take a long time to do for the first time, but the more you run it, the less polygons you'll have to calculate, the faster each one will go. So the first one is still kind of dense for me. There's like polygons everywhere. So I'm going to run it again. And this is like a really good way also if you're sculpting right in ZBrush and you're like, I don't have time to freaking manually retopo anything. I just need something quick and dirty. Z remesher is your best bet. Just get something low enough poly but still keeping like what you sculpted for the most part. There's other ways to get back your detail, but I'm not going to cover that in this. So like I keep clicking it, I keep clicking it. It's getting lower and lower resolution. This resolution is good enough. It will be enough to simulate. So I'll go back to my dynamic subdivisions, press dynamic, gives me thickness. So now if I click on the simulate button, it simulates it, and it's simulating it like stretching the hell out of his shirt. I'm like still trying to understand why it does this. I think it's just because
pinpoints.
I think you
can like pinpoints and shit.
Yeah, you can pin by like masking it. When you mask it, it'll pin it.
Yeah, so you just like mask the seams probably.
Yeah, I've seen that, but also I've noticed that it's just, I think, well, first of all, the gravity by default is set to 10. I don't know why it does that. So like by default, I'll set it to 1. And like it'll give you enough to like drape onto it, and then I think ideally after that you want to stop the simulation and then just work with the cloth brushes after that.
Does the cloth stuff have like elastics and zippers and stuff?
I don't know what you mean, actually. What do you mean by like zippers?
So, well, I guess that would probably be the difference between this and like Marvelous Designer, because in Marvelous Designer you're designing with the seams, and then you can add zippers, where you like specify, go from this edge to this edge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, there is like ZBrush has like this separate thing where it'll be like a template that you can make a mesh from, and it'll be kind of like an extruded flat drawing of like a dress or something, for example, and it'll stretch across your model, and then when you turn on like contract, it will just conform on itself and just basically like tighten up, kind of like how Marvelous Designer like connects with stitches when you run the simulation. But I usually just use it just to quickly get like a drape, and then I'll go in with my cloth tools. Like it's gonna be hard to see again with the resolution of the video, but for example, like the cloth nudge brush, I can just grab the shirt and just like push it around.
Oh, that's so weird.
Yeah,
that's very cool.
And you can just very quickly just get.
Oh, and it saves it so it doesn't like simulate back.
Yeah, no. So like it'll do things like this, and after, even with it like this, you can still smooth it out, and you can still use your other brushes like normal and sculpt on it.
Bake the curves, so like even if it's simulated to be running, you'll have the baked ones and then the moving ones.
I have no idea. I don't think so. I don't think this program can do that. But I just know that this is like their own method of like letting you add folds to your
It's like his
shirts or
titties are
whatever.
swishing around.
Yeah.
He needs to iron his shirt.
Yeah.
Wait, I was gonna add to what Jordan was saying with the zipper thing. Isn't there a brush that has like a zipper add-on? I don't know.
Yeah, but he's there is like an actual brush in ZBrush where you can sculpt like a zipper or something with curves. But I think Jordan's talking about like a different thing. He's just talking about how Marvelous Designer stitches together like the patterns, the clothing patterns to make it drape over a person more realistically. But I just wanted to show this real quick because this you would just manipulate it. I can mask it, and then when I flip it, I can only affect the fabric in that area. And so even if I want to simulate it, and I want to simulate it like contracting by turning it on, it will only do it to the area that I have masked. So people make dresses really quickly by masking out certain areas and doing that. So that's all I really wanted to show. Because I was working on like a little chibi knight character who had a lot of fabric on him. And I was using this, and I was able to make his clothes like really fast. Roughly. So I guess I know I I keep saying it. I chucked so much at you guys. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, I guess we can stop here.
Actually, I have a few questions, but they don't entirely relate to everything we covered today.
Okay.
So regarding, this is something I've been wondering about for a while, but do you need to know how to draw in order to be good at sculpting?
I am the perfect example of that, because I can't really say it now because like I have been working on my drawing and it is a lot better, but I before could not draw to save my life, but I guess I don't know if I just naturally had a better understanding of 3D form, or I knew what looked good in the front, I knew what looked good on the side, and I just kind of played with it until things got better. Sculpting to me naturally is a lot easier than drawing. Like a lot easier.
I would say like being able to draw helps sort of with your understanding of shapes, but honestly, like you don't need to be a good drawer to be able to sculpt.
Yeah. Like
even if you learn how to like sculpt first and then draw, your sculpting skills can actually inform your drawing skills, as with Brandon's situation,
which
where he
happened
started
to me.
sculpting, and then because he did so much sculpting and studied shape and form and things like that in 3D, he got better at representing it in a 2D medium, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I would say that they're very complementary skills.
Definitely.
So like I wouldn't discourage you from improving on your drawing skills, but like it's not a necessity, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's like
to be good at drawing to be good.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the more you practice. Yeah, the more you practice, the better you get. Cause like I never started like doing 3D stuff since like sophomore year, I think, and then I think I slowly understood it because I was only into like 2D stuff. But
yeah, I'm in the same boat.
It's like just practice it, and then you'll see yourself like improve. I think it goes for anything, anyway.
Yeah.
I guess other questions include how important is anatomy in the realm of sculpting?
That purely depends on what you're trying to make, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
I could show you what I made right now. Like, I have a very basic understanding of anatomy. So it's like one of those things where it helps to know the rules to break the rules, sort of things.
Yeah, definitely.
Just share my screen.
Because when you're making creatures and stuff, in order to make it believable, you need the anatomy to be believable too.
Yeah. So like, even if it's like a made-up creature or like some weird like fusion creature, in order to understand like how to actually like create and by basing this thing off of real things and sort of understanding how they work, you can have a better understanding of how to manipulate that and make it your own while still keeping it believable, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Like, I know with mine, I definitely I have like a rich rib cage and like hip bones very like prominent, and the collarbones too, but like human shaped.
Yeah.
But not human.
Them calves. Oh, I love them
calves. The calves! This is a leg person. This is me trying to cater to her likes.
and you'll see it with creatures, even like for example, xenomorphs and aliens. Like you can see certain anatomy that is like something you'd see in like a human, and it's believable. But if you're making like a cartoon character, that's like something very, very simple. I guess you just got to understand proportions, really, of just But other than that, unless you're going hyper realistic, like what I want to do, then yeah, anatomy is definitely very important.
I think that's where the Zspheres really help, because it'll help you identify like the shapes and everything.
Yeah, it helps with proportions. So.
Also, how hard is sculpting the base mesh of hands and feet particularly, because we didn't cover that here.
Yeah, thankfully with Zspheres now, because I didn't know how to do Zspheres when I first started doing hands and all that stuff. A lot freaking easier now because you can with Zspheres you can just very quickly block out your fingers, and you can pose them, and you can have them bend a little bit, and then afterwards you can go in with your inflate, clay build up, whatever you got to do, damn standard, and kind of shape it or make it look more detailed after the fact. So I made hands for let me change I don't know how effective this is going to be, but I'm going to change my stream to my actual screen, and I'm going to pull up this guy. So I actually made like a very quick little character for Collab Studio like this past weekend. I made like a lima bean character, and I made him like very freaking swole, and that's what he looks like. And I used Zspheres on him, and then I just inflated and did damn standard and stuff around him. But like for the hands, I mean, I did them very quick and dirty, but like, I mean, they look like hands, you know. So you just gotta, I guess it's just you just gotta know like hand anatomy, and then very roughly though.
Cheeks.
Oh yeah, so I don't have a good render of his ass, but
Pull up the file. Let's
got
see them.
Yeah. Oh, look at that squat.
Yeah, show them the rigged file. Show them him.
Oh, the rigged
doing
file?
Squats. Yeah.
I was gonna show the
Come on, he
substance
can
one.
Shimmy and dance. Oh, come on.
But yeah. Do you have any other questions though, bro?
Actually, I do have one last question.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get into style. My main goal is to ultimately get into model stylized sculpting for stylized characters.
Hell yeah. Okay.
And one of those styles they recommended for blocking out characters was to outright block out the shapes with moving the spheres. Would you recommend that?
So like, are you talking about you would model a person or a character that's already posed?
No, I'm talking more like starting from scratch with the spear and then blocking it out. Kind of like the Z-Sphere, but a little different.
I think it honestly depends on your personal workflow. I know some people will not use Zspheres. I know some people will just like still pull out from Dynamesh and just like Dynamesh it. You know, you can try different methods. I know people will, again, use Zspheres. People will Dynamesh. People will insert or append a bunch of different primitive shapes to like block out their shapes. It's really what works best for you. Personally, I like Zspheres. And I have tried using primitives for certain things. Like I know I've tried making fingers with primitive shapes, and that helped too. Because I wanted my character's fingers to look more blocky. When I made Sergio's character, I used blocks to make his fingers. So I would experiment and find which one works best for you, honestly. I can't really say like this way is the best, this way is not, because it really depends.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I've seen some really weird workflows with what people do. But yeah, this guy, I like. His fingers are a bit blocky.
So beautiful.
I want to see you make him, man. I gotta see you freaking make him. I want to see your interpretation.
Is that Mr. Freeze?
No, he looks like him though. But so Sergio, who's here actually, he's in my studio. He gave me a sketch that I really wanted to freaking just make a 3D version of. So this was his sketch.
Yeah, baby, Tom.
And I was like, I want to freaking recreate this in 3D. Like I want to imagine what it would look like in 3D. So my summer project was to just recreate this, and I finished with this one. Very I don't even know if the stream is doing it justice, but
It looks so good, Brandon.
thank
It's
you.
beautiful.
Thank
Look at that
you.
boy.
I'm so proud of this
Very
one.
beautiful.
Mm.
My wallpaper.
But